Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Big Questions, Small Steps. My name is Amanda and I'm so glad that you could be with me today. Today we're going to talk about another holiday that's occurring in December. It's a rather recent add to the holiday list, but it is one that is growing in popularity. We're talking, of course, about Kwanzaa. So, in today's episode, we're going to talk about what Kwanzaa is, who celebrates it, why did it even start? So, Kwanzaa, it starts the day after Christmas, so December 26th. It starts and it goes for 7 days. Now, this is a time for families and communities to remember the past and celebrate African American culture. It's typically celebrated by people of African American descent and people who have ties to the African American community. Now, I said it hasn't started until recently, and that's true. It first actually began in 1965. So, certainly when my parents were alive, it started. But it focuses around families and community and really building up the African American culture and that experience. It focuses on 7 different principles, they call them. And all the principles are spoken of in Swahili, which is one of the main languages in Africa, to tie, again, that community to their African roots. So there is Ujoma, which means unity, Kujichagulia, which is self-determination, Ujima, which is responsibility, Ujamaa, which is cooperative economics. Then there's Nia, purpose, Kuma, which is creativity, and Imani, which is faith. Now, in Kwanzaa, the translation, it typically only has one A. However, the creator of this, his name is Mantun Ran Karnaga, and he added a second A because he had 7 children, and all 7 children wanted to be represented by one of the attributes or the principles. So he added a second A. What a great dad, right? Now, this, like I said, started in 1965. But what was happening in 1965 that this happened or this caused it to happen? Great question, let me tell you. It actually started in response to what was known as Watts's riots. Okay, so there was this motorist who happened to be on parole for shoplifting. He gets pulled over because they said he was driving recklessly. He got in a disagreement with the police officers. That disagreement turned into a fight with the police officers, and that spurred 6 days of civil unrest. Okay, so the Black Power movement was certainly growing at that time, and Maluna Ran Kerrigan was one of the leaders. He was a Black Power movement leader, and he was calling on people to be outraged by this and then have pride in who they were as a Black community. These riots, like I said, went on for 6 days. At the end of it, they needed to actually call out the National Guard because they needed to suppress all this uprising. There were 34 deaths within those 6 days, and there was over $40 million worth of property damage. So people were understandably ticked, and they just went off. And they wanted to make sure that they were heard and they were respected, because at that time they certainly weren't. People in the Black community were looked down upon, and of course they thought that everybody was guilty and they could do nothing right. And that's not the case all the time. So their goal, Mulano's goal, was to give Black people an alternative to the existing holiday and celebrate who they are and their history. So that I don't know that anybody could say, oh, that's bad, you shouldn't celebrate your history. I don't think anybody would disagree with that. When it started, it grew rapidly in popularity among the Black Power community, but it didn't really go anywhere besides that. Now, in 1979, Essence magazine, which is a very popular magazine within the Black community, it published an article on Kwanzaa, and then it grew in popularity. And a couple of other articles, I believe Jet was one that published one as well. It started to grow in popularity. In 1988, the Smithsonian even did a display and an article on Kwanzaa and the history of the Black culture and the community and things like that. And it steadily grew since then. Now, today, only about 4% of the population celebrates Kwanzaa. It's equivalent to the amount of people who celebrate Hanukkah. Vast majority at this time celebrate Christmas. Now, it is important to note that you can celebrate Kwanzaa and Christmas, but many people choose not to celebrate Kwanzaa and Christmas. They will celebrate one or the other. To celebrate Kwanzaa, what they will do is they have different items that they will use to enhance this space. It's a lot of color, a lot of vibrant music, a lot of family togetherness. That's important for Kwanzaa. What they will do each night of Kwanzaa, they will light one candle, similar to Hanukkah. Now, they will start in the middle. Their middle candle is black, and that's to root them in their African descendants, that they all come from Africa. So they will start with that middle candle, and that's unity. And then they will alternate between a red candle and a green candle all the subsequent nights. The red candles are supposed to represent their struggles, things that they have endured, things that they have overcome. And the green candles are supposed to represent land and the hope for the future. These candles it's typically wooden, and it's a candle holder. It's called a kinara. And they'll start in the middle again, and they'll alternate between red and green, lighting one every night. And every night is special as far as you do something with your family, but the big night of Kwanzaa is on the 6th night. The 6th night is the Karamu feast. And that is a big party. You invite all your friends and family over. You share a wonderful meal. You will share gifts, but these gifts are supposed to be either homemade or purchased from a Black-owned business. They focus more on the homemade than purchasing a gift. But the Karamu is huge. It's huge. It was invented by Hannibal Afrique of Shuki Ya Wadu, and it was started in Chicago. The first Karamu was in 1973, and it was really designed to help build that community feel. Karamus are known to have lots of music, lots of fun, and to go into the wee hours of the morning because it's just such a joyous time. It is very common to see lots of African dress during Kwanzaa celebrations, hearing African music, seeing the colors. Certainly the most common colors are red, black, and green. That's the colors of the African flag, but you will also see bright yellows and pinks and all colors. It's beautiful. There will also be different symbols that will be incorporated. So for example, there's a mat that goes under the kinara, and that's called a mika. And there will be certain crops that are scattered around. So corn and tomatoes are frequently there, and they're supposed to symbolize your roots as well as prospering in the future. And then there's also a cup that on the Karamu you will share a drink from the cup. It's called the Unity Cup. And then there's the gifts, the Zawadi, and that's given at the Karamu. So Kwanzaa is not celebrated by many, but it is something that is very prideful for the Black community. And that's an amazing thing. It does not have any religious connection at all. Again, you can celebrate Christmas and Kwanzaa. You can celebrate Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. However, many don't. Kwanzaa is, like I said earlier, celebrated by about 4% of the African American population. Certainly more popular in America than anywhere else. However, that popularity is growing slightly in the Caribbean. So that's what we have about Kwanzaa. The more we know, the more we grow. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.